With me today is Annemarie. So happy to have you at the Analytics Summit today. I really enjoyed your talk before. Maybe at the beginning of all of this, can you say a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yes, of course. So Annemarie Klaassen. And actually, what I have been doing for the last 5.5 years is work at Vodafone Ziggo. And at Vodafone Ziggo, I have the role of experimentation lead in what we call the CRO Center of Excellence, which basically means that I am an internal consultant for CRO, data-driven way of working, and trying to get everybody the knowledge and skills to do it themselves. We have 12 CRO specialists who are working in various teams, and I basically work as an enabler for them so that they can do the work. And I have been doing this for 15 years already, so 5.5 years at Vodafone Ziggo, but before that I actually switched around a lot between working at agencies, but also working client side. And I actually never found enough gratification, basically. Like working on client side, I find it really cool because you have all these different clients and every time it's something new, very fast paced, but I hated writing hours. So then I moved again to a client, and then it was really cool because I could set up a CRO program, but then like after 2-3 years, I was bored. I was like, okay, been here, done that. I can maybe tweak a little bit, but like the fun part is over.
Yeah.
And now within Vodafone Ziggo, I have a combination of those two. So I'm kind of an internal consultant, but I can still work on the long-term goals and the long-term vision. So that's pretty cool.
That's inspiring. I like to hear that. So you said that you've been working in the industry for 15 years, which is for CRO a very long time. You've been very successful. You've been working, as I said, on the agency side. You've been working on client side. You've won various awards. You're nominated to being one of the most influencing people in the industry, which is amazing. My question is, why optimization? So why is it that you really care about CRO?
I think it's mostly due to, because it's such a dynamic industry, CRO, it's not just one discipline. Yeah, it's called a discipline, but in order to do proper CRO, you need to do something with research, so user research. You need to know something from data. You need development skills, it comes in handy if you know CSS and JavaScript, so also a lot of technical skills, measurement skills, but also stakeholder management. So it's very broad. And that is something that really, ticks a lot of my boxes. I think it's really, there's always a challenge somewhere. And there's always something to be optimized. I think I not only do it in my job, but also in my personal life. If I feel that I cannot optimize a product anymore or a business anymore, I go to somewhere else to find that new inspiration. And
I see. So it's challenging, many different fields, many different boxes that are relevant for you. So I take it, I get it. I mean, I fully understand since I've been in this field for some time as well. And earlier we've been discussing with Tom, for example, that there is always new stuff to learn, right? And
yes.
Especially when meeting different clients, for example, you know that some clients are struggling with things that others are already excelling at. Everybody has different challenges, and being able to learn from these companies is always something that is helping you personally as well. And talking about growing on a personal level, for everybody that's, for example, listening to your talks. So you are an experienced. You are experienced at giving talks at events like this, and you do this quite frequently. Why do you do it? And basically, what is it that you would really love for the people from the audience to take with them back home to their jobs, or not home but to the office, ideally? So what is it that you want people to actually learn and take from your content?
Yeah, I think there are always a lot of companies that are really restricting people to share what they have learned within their company. And I'm really lucky that VodafoneZiggo is so open with it, that I can share all my stories. And I think it's important to grow the industry as a whole. Like if we share all of our learnings and if we share what doesn't work, then others can learn from that. We try to do that internally by like making failure not such a big deal. And if people can learn from my mistakes, from all the things that I have tried and hasn't worked, that will be a win for me, because then the industry will get to a better place. So also trying to optimize the industry a little bit in that sense. And I think one of the things people should remember is that because CRO is such a, it's not like I said, it's not one discipline. It's a very big, almost like, it's a way of working. And to truly get that integrated within your company, it's not, you cannot do it alone. And you need a lot of your colleagues to help you get to that goal. And I think we forget that sometimes, that we are just stuck behind our computer and think, okay, I can set this test up, I can analyze it, and I can share it in the, I don't know, with our stakeholders. And then most of the time, nothing happens. Because your colleagues are not involved in the process. If we are running tests that are really set up with a designer, or from an idea from a product owner, or a developer has helped develop the test, we see far more commitment in actually driving the change and running more experiments. And that's also why we moved away from one centralized CRO team to putting the CRO specialists within the teams, so it becomes more of a joint effort.
So you've been in the industry for about 15 years, which is a long time, considering that CRO is not, part of the agenda for that long.
Yeah.
But these days, many companies think about CRO in completely different ways. So you said that, for example, at VodafoneZiggo, you are running some sort of center of excellence approach. There are other companies out there who have their very own unit to do it from a more centralized point of view. What is it that you think does make the difference for companies to actually succeed at implementing a ongoing optimization program? So something that is really delivering into the business value.
Yeah, I think the end goal should be that it becomes like the normal way of working. But of course, like when we started in 2017, we couldn't have just started immediately with a center of excellence and have all these people immediately in the team. So it really depends on the size of your company and what the maturity is of CRO in the start and the beginning. Like we started off by just selecting one product team with one CRO specialist in there and try to make like a business case, like what happens if we're gonna do this kind of program with one product team, and can we like build a business case and then show to higher management like, hey, this is what works. Before that, we were having like a centralized CRO team, but we got in trouble with basically with ownership, basically, because CRO people wanted to change something on a web page, but that web page was actually from a product owner. So that product owner, when a test was pushed live, then the product owner said, "What are you doing with my child? Why are you changing stuff? I didn't know about this. Get your hands off of there." And even if it was a winner, they didn't want to implement it because they were not involved in the process. But that is within VodafoneZiggo. Like before, I worked at a different company, at a travel agency, and there the team was actually pretty small. And it was fine that we had just had one team of CRO specialists and a designer in there and a developer, and you can run the whole program. And actually, we were doing almost the same amount of tests. So it's not that you always need that many CRO specialists to run a lot of tests. It depends highly on the culture of the organization. Within VodafoneZiggo, like there is a lot of stakeholder management, there are a lot of meetings, things go slower. So I was actually pretty frustrated when I started that like things were going so slowly and that it didn't take off as quickly as I would have hoped. Like before I started at VodafoneZiggo, I was working at a small travel agency where I was starting 4 tests a week. So on my own, or basically with a junior specialist and a developer, we ran 200 tests.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's not so much about, I think you need to really think about what the structure would work in the type of organization that you work in. And that highly depends. I think that's like the basic answer for everything. Like, it depends.
Yeah. That's true. That always helps.
Yes.
But that's interesting that you said that in the beginning you've been frustrated about the slow pace that you had at VodafoneZiggo. But we know after hearing your talk that you basically increased velocity intensively, not within the first year, but starting, I think, after the second year, you really started to run way more experiments. I think the number you shared today was about 300 experiments that you're running, which is impressive. But there is one question when thinking about so many experiments: how about the win rate? So did you see like a change from the winning experiments that you basically identified compared to very slow velocity with little experiments per year to the now increased amount of experiments that you are running? So what changed?
It's a good question, because I think we saw it in the session of Ton. He shared this graph that with a lot of companies, when the number of experiments increase, the win rate decreases. So in the end, you may have, well, not the same amount of winners, but not in the same ratio. Because I'm a data person, of course, we track everything. So we also track the win rate over time. And the win rate over time is actually stable. So we're still at around 30% of our tests being a winner. The interesting thing, though, is the lose rate is going up. And actually, I love that. Instead of... What I see with a lot of companies, that they have like a target on the number of winners or the win rate, but I think that's not always like the best thing, because then you're maybe testing obvious things like maybe I should have one call to action on a page, or maybe this call to action needs to be bigger and then the CTR will go up. Yeah, duh. But what our main KPI is right now is not on the win rate, but it's on the inconclusive rate. So what we try to do is minimize the inconclusive rate. And what that does is that it makes CRO specialists think harder on what test they want to do, make like bigger bets. Like, I want to see if it's a winner or it's a loser. If it's inconclusive, you don't learn that much. Yeah. You learn way more if it's a loser or a winner. So, of course, we always like to learn more, but still.
You lose, you learn, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there you see really that the change in behavior happening, and which you can build upon for a next test. Well, that's far more difficult when you have an inconclusive test. And usually that's because people take too little risk and only change like one small element, or get afraid of changing too much.
Yeah, being afraid of changing too much. That's interesting. So you say that basically with keeping the winning rate stable and taking even more learnings from losing experiments. So it sounds like you managed to keep up with the good quality of hypothesis, even though you increase the amount of experiments you're running. How do you do this? How do you ensure that the quality of the experiments you're running is that high?
It is difficult. I must admit. Like sometimes I'm perceived as a police cop, I think, internally. But yeah, we do a lot of, for instance, like every other Friday we have what we call a CRO community of practice, where we come together with all the CRO specialists who are working in the various teams, and we share our learnings, but also share what went wrong last week. When colleagues share, like, I put this test live accidentally. It was on B 100%. It can happen. But also, like, yeah, I added tracking to both of the. I wanted to add tracking on a click component, for instance, and yeah, I forgot it to also add it on the control, so I cannot compare. And once you share these kind of things with everybody, then everybody learns from that. And I think we are really programmed not to share our fails because, yeah, it doesn't really feel comfortable. You're acknowledging that you did something wrong. But once you, make that more open, then you can in that sense also like keep the quality high. And of course, we have a lot of like checklists and manuals and all the standard stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But then communication, exchanging, learning from mistakes. This is what keeps you, on top of things.
Yeah. We share a lot. And sometimes I think may even be oversharing. But what we see is that it is... and like you said, we see this stable growth year after year. And I think it has to do with that we are continuously reminding people about the importance of A/B testing and what we are doing. And for now, I don't get any feedback like, oh, no, she's there again. Bugger off.
Let's hope it would stay like this.
Yes.
So maybe in a year or 2 years, we'll sit down again to see like, how did it change? Is Vodafone still loving it?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it completely backfires. I don't know. You never know.
But maybe that's a good point to move on to the next topic when thinking about the next years. So one of the main keywords, we've heard it today 1,000 times during the conference. Of course, it's AI. There's no way around AI in marketing technology, and also not around within this interview. So of course, let's talk about AI for a second.
Yeah.
Let's make this like a two-part question. The first question is taking a look back at the past 2 years or 5 years. Can you say, did anything change for you within VodafoneZiggo already during your daily work? Ever since AI, became a topic, did anything change for you in your daily business already?
Well, maybe not as much as you would like. I think if you look at all what is being shared about AI, we are in this boom of information and everybody's feeling like I should do something with it. But practically, if I look back on how we are using it right now, it's mostly for development of tests because we still have like little development resources. So for instance, we have trained our CRO specialists in basic CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. But especially JavaScript as well. For most people, it's pretty hard. But what we now see is if you use ChatGPT, for instance, to help you code your tests, we can more easily build tests on our own right now. Yep. So there we use it a lot. One of the other things we are exploring is how we can basically analyze more of our surveys using ChatGPT, or not ChatGPT because it's too sensitive information. So we also have to be very wary about, okay, which things can we put in there and which we can't. We have this pilot internally with Copilot, but that is not working as good as ChatGPT at the moment.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe it will. So more in the analysis, so in the development part, and in the analysis part of the open answers on survey questions.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. So analysis or doing research, basically, for upcoming ideas. I take also for development, which is quite cool to hear because it is enabling people to do more on their own, right?
Yeah,
and especially
exactly.
with your approach.
It's for efficiency.
Yeah. I can imagine it helps a lot. So I said it's a two-part question. First question was taking a look back. Now let's take a look into the future. It's difficult to say what will change exactly, right? Because it is developing at such a high speed. But your best guess, what would you say will change within the next 2 or 5 years? What do you think will be important for companies like VodafoneZiggo, for example, when thinking about AI, how to make it work from an operational point of view, or how to include it into strategic planning? Do you have any idea of how you see the future for this?
Luckily, we have like a focus group within VodafoneZiggo that is fully aware, like fully looking into what are the use cases of how we can use AI within like the entire organization. But then typically for A/B testing, one of the things we are looking into is like we are storing all of our insights, all of our A/B tests in Airtable. And usually what you need for AI to properly work is to have like really structured data. Mm-hmm. And we have that data. So what we want to do is like have, instead of now having a Looker Studio where people can select, like show me the winners on this product page and show me the learnings, that becomes more of an AI-driven tool that someone within the company can just go to like a chatbot or anything like that, something like that. Like, okay, I want to optimize the product page for prospects. What are the learnings that you have for me right now? What are the most useful things to optimize now? That would be really cool if that can if that can be done, because it makes it far more easy to share the learnings and get people act on those learnings. Yeah. And I hope that will happen. And there will be probably more efficiency in the whole CRO process, as Ton showed with. You can easily look up on Google Scholar all the scientific journals that are there on a certain topic. So research. Nobody wants to read that. But if you if you have like a tool for it that can automatically say like, hey, okay, you work in telco. Yeah. These are the main factors that influence like a decision, and without you having to go through like 20 scientific papers. Yeah, that's of course again also an efficiency and also probably a higher quality of research.
Okay, so we have research quality and speed. We have the analytical side. We have more and more broaden and wider access to developing, since you're using AI for this. So sounds like you already have a good plan. Do you also have any ideas or any initiatives on how to use AI, for example, for automated personalization, anything into that direction where content is with Gen AI being created for users on an individual level already?
Not yet, but what we are working on, but that's not in the realm of CRO, is that, for instance, in our contact center, people are calling us with problems with their internet connection or with their mobile phones, and usually then the customer support needs then to type a summary of what has been talked over with the client. So they have a backlog of, okay, if the customer calls again, that they know what has been said in previous talks, phone calls. And now we are also integrating like that AI in there, so that summary is automatically already there. So that also saves time there with the customer support. And the summaries are far more accurate. Like we have seen like differences already between like if the customer agent is looking is typing that summary versus if AI does it. Okay. It's the same a bit like if you have a feedback form on your website. Usually what people say, it doesn't work. And like, okay, but what doesn't work? You have to look up like the session recording to see what went wrong. And AI is actually more accurate because they process like the whole phone call and then make a very accurate summary. That's really cool.
So you see better results for the AI generated.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and they even and now they are even like getting next best action. So what should I then offer the people on the phone? Should I give them a discount? Is that probably more effective, or should I just have like a conversation with them to get the angry to get the emotions out of the call, or should I maybe offer them a TV package for free or anything like that? So that is something that's going to be evolved.
I think it's a great example on how you're leveraging AI for the whole customer experience already. There is one more question I have, since you're basically done with your talk today. We're nearly done with this interview. You've seen a lot of talks, I guess.
Yes.
How did you like it? What did you enjoy most today? And is there anything that surprised you, that you learned, that you did not expect to see?
I think it is a long day, but it is a long day full of very interesting talks. Like normally I would skip a few, but now I think I've been basically to every session. Now I'm not, because I'm giving an interview, so I cannot go to the last talk. But I really like the mix of topics. I usually go to conferences where like the main topic is CRO. Mm-hmm. But it's really cool to see that you have things about data privacy, you have things about engineering, you have like AI, you have data science, privacy, and GA4, of course. And CRO, and I think it's really cool to see that. Well, the people also in the audience with me, they were not all CRO specialists. They were from different backgrounds, different specialties, and that's really nice, because then, as I said, you cannot do CRO on your own. You need the data scientists in there as well, and so it's really nice to have that. Yeah. It's a collaboration, basically. Yeah.
Sounds great. Sounds like you had a good day.
Yes.
We definitely had a good day with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on stage today with us at the Analytics Summit. Thanks so much for taking the time for this interview right now, and hopefully see you again in the next years.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.